My name is Katie Conant, and I will be speaking today about motivating high school students to read through project-based learning. I would like to preface that this presentation is only a 15-minute condensed version of a 3-hour-long presentation. So please note that things will be gone through pretty quickly, and it is just an overview. Today we will be talking about motivation, project-based learning, how can we use it in the classroom, examples of PBL and motivation in action, the sociolinguistic theories and how to incorporate them in your classroom, as well as PBL ideas to implement in the classroom. Let's do a think, pair, share. What is motivation? What is project-based learning? Why is there a need for them? Think about your answers, then turn to the person next to you and share what you came up with. Please note that you can use this in the classroom on a daily basis with all level and ability linguistic and culturally diverse students. Let's look at the definitions. Motivation is the act or process of giving someone a reason for doing something. The act or process of motivating someone, the condition of being eager to act or work, the condition of being motivated, a force or influence that causes someone to do something. Project-based learning is a teaching method in which students gain knowledge and skills by working for an extended period of time to investigate and respond to a complex question, problem, or challenge. Whole group discussion. What are some examples of how you motivate your students to read? The following are examples that I have come up with. You can use these activities in the classroom on a daily basis with all level and ability linguistic and culturally diverse students. The examples include student choice, comfortable place to read, make reading interactive, incentives, student-friendly, parent-family involvement, independent projects, group projects, supportive teachers, extra credit, discussions such as lit circles and Socratic seminar, and high interest. Let's take a moment and let's discuss what are ones we have used, what are ones we'd like to use, and what is successful and what was not successful, as well as the ideas that you have come up with. Mini lesson number 1, theory-theoretical connection, sociolinguistic theory, with the main theorists Basil Bernstein, David Bloom, and Judith Green, and Shirley Bryce Heath. Sociolinguists was coined in the 1950s to try to bring together the perspectives of linguists and sociologists to bear on issues concerning the place of language in society and to address, in particular, the social context of linguistic diversity. The first application of the sociolinguistic perspective to the field of reading emerged in the 1970s. Bloom and Green wrote, as a social process, reading is used to establish, structure, and maintain social relationships between and among people. As a linguistic process, reading is used to communicate intentions and meanings, not only between an author and a reader, but also between people involved in a reading event. Sociolinguistics is rooted in the fields of anthropology, linguistics, and literary analysis. Bernstein was one of the first to write about the connection between one's language ability and one's personal power in society. Classroom connection, sociolinguistic theory teaching idea, language experience chart, and story. A language experience chart is a story based on a shared experience that is written collaboratively by the teacher and young students, and the teacher would type this on the classroom computer to be projected on a screen. The teacher and/or students then decide on a topic for the language experience story. It is often based on a previous shared experience, such as a class trip or a special event that has recently occurred. The teacher and students write the story together, making sure all writing is grammatically correct and proper punctuation has been used. The students reread what they have written and go back to it whenever they want. Classroom application. Divide yourselves up into small groups. Let's give the language experience stories a try. You will have 40 minutes to brainstorm ideas, choose your topic, and write your story. Be ready to share. And go. At this time, you start the timer and give the fellow teachers 40 minutes. You can use this in the classroom on a daily basis with all level linguistic and culturally diverse students. Mini lesson number 2. Theory, theoretical connection, sociocultural theory. The theorists for this are Catherine Au, Yuri Bronfenbrenner, and Louis Moll. Sociocultural theory emphasizes the roles of social, cultural, and historical factors in the human experience, similar to sociolinguistics because both emphasize the social aspect of learning. Focuses more on the broader concept of culture, which includes language. Bronfenbrenner calls his perspective an ecological view of development, or an ecological model of human development, and believes there are 4 spheres of influence that affect human development. Microsystem is the first and innermost level of influence, is the child's immediate environments. Example, home and classroom activities, roles, and interpersonal relationships. Mesosystem, second level of influence, the layer of interaction that exists between two microsystems. Example, when the child's home life affects his or her school experience or has conflicting expectations from peers and parents. Exosystem, the third layer of influence, has an influence on a student even though the student does not interact directly with the exosystem. Example, local, national, and worldwide events. Macrosystem, fourth level of influence, used to explain some of the consistencies observed at the microsystem and mesosystem levels. Example, families from a cultural group showing similar interaction patterns. Au states, sociocultural research on school literacy learning attempts to explore the links among historical conditions, current social and instructional contexts, interpsychological functioning, that which takes place between people, and intrapsychological functioning, that which takes place within the individual. Moll argues that teachers must begin to value children's funds of knowledge, bringing them into the classroom and using them as vehicles for literacy learning. Classroom connection, sociocultural theory teaching idea, literature circles. The concept of literature circles was developed by educators who believe that students benefit from talking to each other about books, but who also believe that students' conversations need to be structured in a way that help them stay on task. Built on the premise that students will learn from each other during literature circles, it also emphasizes the importance of students bringing knowledge and artifacts from their own lives. There are several different approaches for the design and use of literature circles. Today, we will be using Daniel's model. Students can either complete their assigned reading and role work as classwork or as homework. Each has its benefits and drawbacks. If students do not complete their assigned work, they should not be allowed the privilege of participating. Classroom application. Let's give this a try. Divide yourselves up into groups of 7. Decide who will assume each role. Discussion director, passage master, vocabulary enricher, artist, connector, investigator, summarizer. You will have 40 minutes to read the chapter assigned to you from Staying Fat for Sarah Burns and complete your literature circle. I would, before this began, have had a detailed discussion about what each role is, as well as answering any questions that the fellow teachers might have, and we would have a discussion afterwards. You can use this in the classroom on a daily basis with all level linguistic and culturally diverse students. Mini lesson number 3, theory-theoretical connection, social constructivism, socio-historical theory. The key theorist here is Lev Vygotsky. Vygotsky was one of the earliest and most famous of the social learning theorists. Currently, Vygotsky's work is extremely prominent and influential in both education and psychology. The premise of Vygotsky's work is the belief that children learn as a result of their social interactions with others. According to Vygotsky, development is the transformation of socially shared activities into internalized processes. Children's knowledge, ideas, attitudes, and values develop through interactions with others. Development depends on the sign systems with which individuals grow up. Sign systems are a culture's language, writing and counting systems. The process of using these sign systems is called semiotic mediation. Examples: alphabet, words, listening, speaking, and writing. An extremely influential concept within Vygotsky's social constructivism is the zone of proximal development. Zone of proximal development refers to the ideal level of task difficulty to facilitate learning, which is the level at which a child can be successful with appropriate support. Scaffolding refers to the assistance that adults and more competent peers provide during learning episodes. Examples: clues, reminders, encouragement, breaking down the problem into steps, providing an example, or anything else that allows the student to grow in independence as a learner. A child must experience the use of higher mental functioning in social situations before he or she can internalize such functioning and independently use it. Vygotsky believed that for a child to internalize a behavior, learning, the behavior must first occur socially and only then would become part of the internal knowledge of the child. Classroom connection, social constructivism theory teaching idea, cross-age and buddy reading. The instructional techniques of partner, buddy, and cross-age reading are deeply embedded in social learning theoretical perspectives. Partner and buddy reading are consistent with social constructivism because the practices are built on the premise that children will scaffold each other's learning during the shared reading experience. These experiences are particularly well suited for ELLs. Partner reading refers to pairing students from within the same class to read together. Buddy reading refers to pairing students from different grade classrooms to read together. The experience improves students' word recognition abilities and their attitudes regarding reading aloud. When planning to begin partner reading, teachers need to consider when and how to structure this component of their literacy program. Some teachers allow students to choose partner reading as an optional activity. Other teachers prefer that all of their students engage in partner reading at the same time. The pairing of students is a decision that can be made by the teacher or one that can be made by the students themselves. Examples of pairings: stronger reader with a weaker reader, equal ability readers, student choice, and ELLs. Examples of materials: student choice and assigned, and examples of structure: very rigid, individual pace, and activity free, where students just read. A central component of buddy reading is that the students within each pair are on different reading levels from each other. Possible pairings: stronger upper grade with a stronger lower grade, weaker upper grade with weaker lower grade. Students from the upper grades act as teachers or tutors during the paired reading experience. Sometimes classroom teachers instruct older students in techniques for helping the younger students with their reading. Let's give this a try. Classroom application. Divide yourselves up into partners. Decide who will assume each role. Reading mentor or reading mentee. You will have 40 minutes to role play being the reading mentor and reading mentee. You will use the articles provided. Once you have finished reading the article, please discuss with your partner. Finish the activity by sharing what you discovered in your reading with your table. You can use this in the classroom on a daily basis with all level linguistic and culturally diverse students. Mini lesson number 4. Theoretical connection. Social learning theory, social cognitive theory. Key theorist here is Albert Bandura. Originally called social learning theory, but recently renamed social cognitive theory. This general theory of human behavior combines features of behaviorism with those of social learning. We learn by observing others, their successes, failures, efforts, and styles. Vicarious learning is the notion that people learn more from observing others than they do from the consequences of experiencing things themselves. Bandura developed this theory after his research and investigation of the effects of media on children's learning. The 4 stages of observational learning are attentional phase, retention phase, reproduction phase, and reinforcement phase. Attentional phase is the first stage during which the observer watches the model. Retention phase is the second stage in which the observer thinks about and processes what he or she has observed. Reproduction phase is the third stage in where the observer repeats the behavior that has been modeled, and reinforcement phase is where the observers are often reinforced as they repeat modeled behaviors. Self-efficacy refers to one's belief that he or she possesses the abilities to attain specific goals. According to Bandura, people with highly perceived self-efficacy try more, accomplish more, and persist longer at a task than do people with low perceived self-efficacy. The concepts of modeling and observational learning have been particularly prominent in the field of literacy learning and are the cornerstones of the field of emergent literacy. When teachers read from big books, use a morning message, or invite guest speakers into the classroom, they are often hoping that their students will engage in observational learning. Classroom connection, social learning theory, teaching idea, technology. With the rise of social networking sites came a change in the way people interact with the internet. Now, a well-established virtual community, users are able to connect with an almost limitless number of people all around the world. Using social learning perspectives, internet applications that facilitate social interaction are the technology to integrate into today's classroom. Fortunately, these applications are rapidly being developed and are already numerous. Teacher websites and wikis. Teacher websites are free or fee-based applications that are available, for teachers to create websites. Examples: TeacherWeb, eBoard, Educator Pages, ClassTown, Wix, and Google Sites. The sociocultural theory is being applied when teachers use a website to inform and involve parents, thus enhancing the homeschool interaction within the mesosystem. Wikis are being used in education as a place for students to connect with one another and their teacher, to collaborate, and to publish their work. Examples: Wikispaces, Zoho Wiki, and PBWorks. Social constructivism is evident with the use of wikis since students are learning as a result of social interaction with others. Google Docs. This collaborative online application allows its users to create documents, presentations, spreadsheets, forms, and drawings on the web. These files can be made public to all, viewable with a link only, shared with selected users, or kept private. Using this tool, students can collaborate on documents and presentations, viewing each other's edits in real time, and participating in discussions in a separate panel. The social constructivism viewpoint is evident in this dynamic application that allows students to build on and refine their knowledge in a social setting. VoiceThread. VoiceThread is an application that facilitates online discussions. Its users can upload videos, pictures, or documents and organize them into slides. Viewers can leave video, audio, or text comments, as well as digitally draw on the slides to emphasize and clarify their points. Examples: teacher-created mini-lessons, student-created book reviews, digital class books, and slideshows for vocabulary and concept development surrounding a theme. Both sociocultural theory and social constructivism are active in a VoiceThread project. ePals. ePals Global Community is an online destination that connects students around the world. Partnered with National Geographic, this free application offers collaborative interdisciplinary projects where students connect using their student email accounts with safety features such as teacher monitoring and create culminating presentations. The social constructivist perspective represents A seamless integration of technology here as the students receive scaffolding as they work through the stages of their project, constructing knowledge through email collaboration. Classroom applications